Hey, welcome back. I'm Jason, and today we're back in the shop. We're going to be working on part of the shop next week when we insulate our garage doors with this 1 1/4 inch cellofoam. I don't know what it's called. Either way, I've got a buddy coming to help me who is a pro, and he's going to show me how to do it right, including what I need to do with the springs. I see so many people not do this right online. So he's going to be the pro in this instance, and I'm going to be the helper. Today, my helper is my dad. He's coming by with his RZR, and we're going to be installing a winch to help keep him from getting stuck out in the desert, because my recovery vehicle is gone. So let's jump right into this winch install and make it happen. So what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with an Amazon fiery red winch. We also have the SuperATV winch plate, which this thing is really nice. Nice construction, great bends on there. The powder coating is really stout. So we'll see how this goes together. I haven't done much looking on instructions, but who knows? It's not like I haven't put stuff together before. Let's see what we got going on in here. Got our instruction book. We'll put that to the side for now. Let's get this out of the box. All right, so it comes with its own little winch plate. Got the little fiery red adapter for the front so that we can pull on everything, some cables. It does come with remote switches, which is nice, or remote controls, and the actual winch. Oh, and that's right, this one's got a synthetic rope. That's pretty nice looking. I don't know, maybe. Some wires, our solenoid. Looks like it's already partially attached. This is for an ATV, or so it says, so it has this handlebar mount for the interior switch, which we'll have to adapt in some way. Got our hook and our fair lead. I guess now what we need is the car. Now this part was totally unnecessary. You don't need a lift to install this winch. I have one, so hey, why not, right? You don't even really have to get this thing off of the ground. It does make it a little bit easier. Later we'll wind up pulling the tires and give ourselves a little bit more room to squeeze around the suspension. Start by getting your front hood off and your top cover here. We decided we're going to mount the solenoid a little bit further back underneath here so that it gets some protection rather than just under the hood. You just have 4 bolts, 2 spring clips, 2 rubber clips, and 2 little push pins that hold the front cover to the ride command, at least on this car. We wound up lubing these so that they'd be a little bit easier to get off in the future. Make sure you disconnect your battery. We were thinking and running the wiring and then go, oh, we should disconnect it. While I was doing that, Pops mounted the solenoid there right up against the upper glove box. And then we're running these cables down behind the glove box. Their car has the sound system in it right next to the subwoofer and through a grommet access that all the other wires are running through under the hood. It made it a lot easier having that grommet. There's plenty of space in there for the 4 cables here. You can see that this kit has pretty adequate length, not if you're trying to run to the battery. We ran to the power block under the hood there. If you're running to the battery, you will need longer cables. These cables are supposed to be something like 6 or 8 gauge, but really all of that gauge was just in the insulation itself. Once we cut them to shorten up the power cables, it was mostly insulation, and that's kind of a bummer. Thankfully, this is a pretty small winch and it's not going to take a lot of power to run. Getting that power in place was what we were working on next. We're getting the little transmitter or the wireless transmitter wired up, getting all of the main power lugs connected. It really is pretty simple with this kit. I was kind of surprised by how well everything kind of flowed together. The directions are vague and, you know, kind of weird being not well written, but the parts came together well with the red, black, blue, and yellow being well marked and easy to understand. So we got everything wired in there to the solenoid, and then we wound up shortening the power and the ground cables coming over to the underhood power source. That way there was no excess or anything else to worry about there, and we had the shortest, cleanest run possible. Once we had all the electrical done, it was time to start on the actual winch. So we're pulling this winch plate cover off. There are 2 screws on the bottom and 2 clips there on the top. Next up, we mounted those SuperATV fair lead brackets. These can go on one of 2 ways depending on the size of the fair lead that you have, whether it's a rope or a steel cable.
Now, we're putting them different.
Well, that's just for fun.
Okay, that was practice.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you put them on backwards at least once.
Okay.
So that you have the practice taking them on and off.
Practice taking that one off and turn him around.
After Dad pointed out that I was putting that bracket on backwards, we got the fair lead on there, and then we put the winch bracket or winch plate cover on that replaced the big plastic piece that snapped on from the front. This one's a little tough to get to, but you know, it was doable once you squeeze your fingers in there. Here you can see the mounting holes at the front and at the back of the subframe for our actual bracket. That's what we're installing here. You want to install your bolts from behind and have the nuts come out to the inside towards the differential there. That makes it a lot easier to tighten them down, and they weren't in the way at all as we're trying to squeeze the winch in. As you can see, the winch fits in there pretty well. You just have to pull those hoses up and out of the way. I'm sure that this is a bit tighter on the RZR XPs and the Rs and the more sporty models. This is a Trail S, so there was plenty of room to squeeze that guy in there and run the cables down to the power block. We're really starting to cook along here with the winch in there. It was time to get it bolted up, and for this specific winch, we're using the inside bolts. The SuperATV plate is adjustable for bigger winches, and this is on the smaller side. With the winch bolted into place, we got the 2 power lines, which these are the switchable lines right on the end of the winch, connected and bolted into place. You can see here's another spot. We missed those stupid little booties. We're gonna get those on later. And we got those wires zip tied into place out of the way of all the suspension components. We got the battery hooked back up, and then we were just about ready to test it here and see how this thing worked. Not really anywhere to test this thing. Pulling me around the shop, so we're gonna pull it into the trailer. Drive her home. Are you clicking it? So here's what we're finding. We got the in and out button on here, but you have to be nearly on top of the car. Otherwise, as I back up, it was losing connection. Now it seems to be working okay. All right, that was a fun project. I haven't gotten to do a lot of work on the RZR. We're planning a spare tire build, mount, install here in the near future. We'll see what that looks like. So if you've gotten stuck in the mud, in the desert, in the mountains, wherever you might have been, let me know how you've used your winch, what winch you've installed, and how that went. I'd like to know down in the comments. Anyhow, like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.